How do you recognize that you're being gaslit?
Mm.
Looking like a baddie, I show up and make them stop. Wanna know my name so badly, cause I run this whole block. Flip my hair, move my head, show the world I'm royalty. Boy, yeah. Move it, groove it. They wanna know just how I do.
What kind of responses do you have whenever someone is gaslighting you or in a roundabout, passive aggressive way trying to throw you under the bus?
So, a couple of things, right? How do you recognize that you're being gaslit?
Mm.
Because
Let's
some
talk about
people are so good at it. And if you have any sense of not being healed or sense of self, or you don't know who you are, but it is a form of manipulation. Men back in the day, the reason it's called gaslighting is because they used to manipulate women by like shutting off the gas and the lights and being like, oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Because remember, we used to just throw, especially women, hey, if you had a period, go in the crazy bin. See you later. Which now, by the way, I went mine 30 days in a like spa like thing. If we're gonna okay, right? But it's this false sense of information where you start questioning yourself. And it comes from this like 1938 play, literally called Gaslight, where people were doing this to their victims, right? So it would make them question, is this reality? Did this really happen? A lot of times, if you don't know who you are and you're not confident in who you are, you're going to be more susceptible to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had it happen to me, but now I'm like, no sir, no ma'am, I know who I am. I 100% know I didn't say that and I didn't act that way. You spend so much time going through your healing journey, right? And dealing with people like how has that impacted you?
To answer your question specifically, I just have to kind of lean into it,
Yeah.
right? Like show up. And if someone wants to come to me and say, "Man, you've changed. You're not the same person. Oh, you think you're too good." Da 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 da.
Mhm.
I'm like, "You know what? Thank you for noticing. I have changed. I
Mhm.
feel it in my soul that I've changed."
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time we're like, "Oh, have I?" But as you go forward, you're like, "Yes, thank you. I have. That was my goal. That's what I've been working towards. I am changing." Right?
Absolutely. And obviously, I'm a goal getter, so I achieved it. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. Right? A lot of times, have you noticed that, especially women, we have the need to explain ourselves?
Yeah, definitely don't try to justify yourself and don't try to argue with stupid. It's just a waste of time down a dead end street. You get absolutely freaking nowhere.
Yeah, I always talk about cycles, right? So when we think about, I only have so much energy for so many things. Where do I want to focus it on? And I noticed I used to spend a lot of time explaining myself and justifying my actions to maybe people I shouldn't have. Kind of going back to what you said, you're like, thank you for noticing. Instead of being like, oh, have I changed? Like those types of things. So, did you used to justify your actions? Did you used to have to explain yourself? And then now that you're like, thank you for noticing, was there something that you uh, did in order to like flip that switch?
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is something that you've said in the past, and it absolutely is so relevant to this conversation. You said the devil doesn't come after you hard when you're doing the wrong things. He comes after you when you're doing the right things.
100%, right? The devil's coming after you in whatever form it is, and he wants to keep you where you are. He
Mm.
is the number one crab in the barrel.
Oh, say that again. The
Yeah.
devil is the number one crab in the barrel.
Yeah, he does not want to see you doing things that are good for you, that are good for your family, any of that stuff, right? So being able to have a sense of self and know that growth is so uncomfortable. It's almost like a badge of honor. Like it's like, hey, I think our listeners need to understand like you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortable.
Mm, mm. I would agree with that. There's a meme that comes up every year on my social media, and it's a picture of two people sitting across from the table from each other. One is comfort, and the other one is growth. And the growth has to break the bad news to comfort to let them know, like, this is just not going to work out. And the more uncomfortable you continue to make yourself are signs that you are operating outside of your comfort zone. When you surround yourself
Yeah.
intentionally with the people that are growing in your same direction, because they're going to foster that growth, they're going to nurture your growth. And they're
Mhm.
going to be someone that you can relate to because they too are growing. I would just say to be so protective of yourself and honor yourself with boundaries, because when you try to bring an evolved version of you back to the old environment in which the old you was, you're probably going to get hit with a ton of resistance because your vibe repels that state of living, that mindset that the other people have. And if you're not strong enough in your sense of self, you will allow their crabby little claws to pull
Yeah.
you back in to the past when you were very much heading for your future.
So there was a study done about the crabs in a barrel syndrome, right? And the number one thing that came out of it is that these people have low self-esteem.
Mm,
So kind of going back to, I was really put off by these women on The View saying, "Oh, you need to smile more." Like, how does that impact you?
right.
Why are we picking on Taylor Swift? Why are we picking on all these other people, right? And so one of the crab mentality, what they exhibited in their thoughts and behaviors were things like belittling,
Mm,
right? Humiliation. And sometimes these come in these backhanded comments.
mhm.
And it comes from the people who are closest to you. So that's what you have to really pay attention to, right? It comes in harsh criticism. It could be like, "Oh, I care so much about you, but you don't always have to like blah, 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 blah." I had a friend, or I thought a friend, it was like a crab. What's the biggest crab there is? Like Alaskan cream king crab, right? Like, I don't know. What are those? I think it
Yeah,
asked one time,
like
right?
a big,
So
giant, bumpy leg with all the
yeah, and it was
warts on it.
yeah, and it was a trauma bond, right? So I had moved, I had gone through all of these horrible things in my life, and I thought this person really cared about me. They were very close to me, and at first, like, the feedback I was getting, I thought, "Oh, this person really cares about me," but I started paying attention to what was being said, right? And then I started watching their actions and how they behave towards other people, and I was like, "Oh, like the math ain't math in here." I'm gonna be real honest, right? And it was these backhanded comments about like, "Oh, Shannon, you don't always have to do this." And I'm like, "But that's who I am." And not in an audacious way. So when I read this research about the crabs in a barrel syndrome, right? Belittling, humiliating people, harsh criticism, not in a loving way, right? They hold grudges. By the way, I will hold 100% a grudge. I'm doing better. I'm from the south side of the kingdom, right? Actually, no, right? But
Little grudge
they're jealous.
master.
Yeah, so it's like they're jealous and they're hostile towards others. And so I don't really get jealous from other people. I find inspiration from them.
Move it, move it. Groove it, groove it. They wanna know